I'd like to call to order the Each County Common Council regular meeting for Wednesday, February 8th, 2023. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Call please.
Second District Councilman Lenny Francisci, present. Third District Councilman Terrence Hill. Here. Fourth District Councilwoman Stacy Winfield.
Present.
Fifth District Councilman Robert Garcia.
Present.
Sixth District Councilwoman Gilda Orange.
Present.
Councilwoman at Large Deborah Bolaño.
Here.
Councilman at Large Dwayne Ratner.
Here.
Councilman at Large Kenneth Monroe.
Present.
Council President Monica Gonzalez.
Here.
Before back in days, we used to have a prayer. We have Reverend Daggett out there. You think you should the prayer before we start?
He is welcome if he'd like to.
Thank you, Reverend.
This illustrious body, thank you so much for the opportunity to stand before you. Let's pray together. Most gracious and eternal God, our Father, O Lord. Lord, we love you and we thank you that we are your children called according to your purpose. Lord, as we work on behalf of the citizens of this great city, we pray, O Lord, that you would guide our hearts and guide our minds, that we would be committed to recognizing that we will all be held accountable as we stand in the gap. Lord, bless each family that's represented here, bless the leadership, and bless the residents of East Chicago, Indiana, O God. Strengthen our families and help us to look to you for all things, for you are an awesome God. This and all blessings we ask in Jesus' most precious name and for his sake. And all God's people say, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you.
Okay, we start off with public hearing. Clerk Davila, can you please read the ordinance?
Ordinance 23-0001, sponsored Mayor Angela Copeland. Additional appropriations ordinance appropriating certain monies for infrastructure replacement and improvement work.
Hello, William Allen, City Engineer. This ordinance pertains to improvement repair work throughout the city. Total amount is $2 million. 1.2 out of the $2 million will go towards asphalt and concrete repairs throughout the city. So sidewalks, curb, aprons for the alleys, asphalt patches in the roadway, as well as the replacement of alleys. The remaining amount, roughly $800,000, will go towards repair and maintenance for utilities such as our electrical lights, fixtures, poles, bridge equipment for Dickey Road, and anything that may happen as a result of accidents, whether cars will damage poles, every year, unfortunately, and then sidewalks that are in disrepair.
Hey, is there anybody here to speak for or against this ordinance? There is not. Public hearing is closed. Thank you, Mr. Allen. Okay, we move on to our regular meeting. Minutes of the council meetings.
We have minutes for the regular meeting dated December 14, year 2022.
I'm moving that, President. Second.
Okay, Motion made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilman Hill. Any questions on the matter? Roll call, please.
Franciski.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Winfield.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange.
Yes.
Bolaños.
Yes.
Ratchford.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes. Communication from the mayor,
I have none.
communication from department heads.
Accounts payable warrants. 123-122 CC. 020223 CC. 020823 CC. And 022823 LA.
So moved, Madam President.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Franciski, seconded by Councilman Ratcliffe. Any questions on the matter? Roll call, please.
Francisco.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Winfield.
Yes.
Garcia.
No.
Orange.
Yes.
Bolaños.
Yes.
Ratchford.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Payroll warrants. Biweekly 020323. Payroll warrant miscellaneous 020323. And payroll warrant monthly 020123.
So moved, Madam President. Second.
Motion made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilman Ratcliffe. Any questions on the matter? Roll call, please.
Francisco.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Winfield.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange.
Yes.
Bolaños.
Yes.
Ratchford.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
We have Frank Rivera, Executive Director, Department of Redevelopment, Mark Town presentation.
Good evening, Madam President, and all the council members here and to our back of us, all the residents of the city of Chicago, welcome. And I appreciate the fact that I can come here and have a conversation with you concerning the Marktown project. If I may take off my mask, Madam President. That way I'm not choking the air. Okay, so our first page that's in front of you in terms of the presentation is a Marktown Historical District study that we did. And I'm not going to discuss all the study because that was more in line with Urban Design Venture. That was with Mr. Walt Haglund and Mr. Dave Jordan. I'll discuss what I had as part of my presentation. So if we go to the next page, what we did was we introduced ourselves and gave everyone who we were. Okay, and so what we did at the meeting is that we wanted to make sure that everyone had a point of juncture to make sure that they could ask their questions, and so we passed out cards. And in the meeting, I had indicated that I was going to have all the questions typed out, and I have them available in my hand. And we are going to put this on the website in terms of how we responded at the meeting, so everybody's on the same page. We also talked about the results of the housing study, but I won't be into that conversation. I am going to talk about the exterior housing renovations program, and Keith Salvi tonight is going to be doing the roundabout updates. So if you look at the next page, it's a summary that was presented to the whole entire community, and this is what Mr. Walker discussed. And there's a lot of detail in terms of how he did the study, so I won't go through all that because he had maps and everything, but in meeting that we're hoping to have with you again, he'll be present to do that. And so what I did was I went downstairs, took a picture of all the dates that you have as a meeting, so that he can choose a date and allow us then to create a PowerPoint presentation for him in terms of all the maps, because he wanted to put them against the wall. And I think that took away somewhat in terms of how we wanted to present it. But it was good because he did point out that every single detail of the map. This way, you'll see it in a PowerPoint presentation with all the details. You know, with all the color codes that you all had a moment to see when we were at the meeting. The objectives, there are 7 objectives that I'm going to go through. And these objectives were presented for consideration by the city of East Chicago for the revitalization of the Marktown neighborhood. And the first objective is to provide financial assistance to owner occupants of homes in Marktown. The second is to improve the physical appearance of homes in Marktown. The third is increase the property values of homes in Marktown. The fourth is eliminate physical deterioration of the exterior of the homes. And then the fifth one is encourage home ownership from rental occupants. And the sixth is eliminate blighting conditions and encourage maintenance and upkeep. And the last is renovate a model home to demonstrate the feasibility of the program. And in this presentation, you'll see that model home. Okay. Eligibility, this is what it's going to take in order for a owner occupied in a residence for Marktown to be able to meet these eligibility criteria. And the first is houses must be owned and occupied by residents of Marktown. Owners must have lived in the property for at least 12 months before applying. And houses must be located within the boundaries of the Marktown neighborhood. And I believe Mr. Walt described that on a map for everyone to see, and that's what he'll present in the next meeting. Utilities must be connected and in good working order. Property cannot be scheduled to be in foreclosure by a financial institution, and all mortgage payments must be current and up to date. There cannot be any outstanding real estate tax liens or municipal tax liens filed on the property. All types of single-family homes are eligible: detached houses, duplexes, triplexes, and quadruplexes. And here's the scope of the work. We're going to be working on roofing, chimneys, flashing, soffits and fascia, gutters and downspouts, wall surface stucco or brick, porches, foundation patch and repair. And in the meeting, I made it real clear that we're talking external, we're not talking internal in the foundation. It's all external. Everything that we're going to be working is outside the house. We're going to look at the continuation of the scope of works in this doors, the exterior and storm and screens, windows, window sills and lintels, window treatments, walls above grade, painting, walks and drives. Now there are some other, because this is a living document, he's constantly bringing in new things. There are going to be some other aspects of what we're going to do as scope of work. At least maybe 4 or 5 or 6 of them in terms of adding more to it. Now, not eligible scope of work. This means interior work. We're not doing any interior work. We're not doing any landscaping. We're not doing antennas and satellite dishes, floodlights or motion detectors, demolition, auxiliary structures. No new auxiliary structures may be constructed under this program. And here are the financial assistance. Okay, the city of East Chicago will provide financial assistance to homeowners for exterior renovation work on their homes. The following is a summary of the assistance that may be provided to eligible applicants. There will be a grant that will provide eligible homeowners funds. That grants up to $40,000 per house are permitted. Now, there are times that you'll find things that are unseen, and usually that's a change order. So it can go up in the $40,000, but that you have to justify that when the contractor goes out and starts working on it. It seems that there's other problems there. Okay, homeowners must have owned and lived in the property, as I said earlier, for 12 months before the date of application. Now, to continue the financial assistance, the homeowner must continue to own and occupy the home as their primary residence for 5 years after completing the renovation work. Now, the interesting thing about this is that we can have a forgivable loan. And it's good for 5 years. That means you have to live in it for 5 years, just like we have in the funding side. Okay, so once it's forgiven, there's an earned rate in terms of the grant and a forgivable process in terms of the annual rate of 20% per year as the anniversary date of completion of the work. Meaning, more or less, if you're there for 5 years, let's say we spend $40,000, you don't pay anything. But if say you leave for 4 years, then that means you're going to have at least 80% paid off. The other 20% you have to pay us back. Repayment of the percentage of non-earned portion of the grant is required if the homeowner moves, sells, transfers title, or it is no longer the homeowner's principal residence. In continuing the financial assistance, the homeowner must sign a promissory note stating that they, their heirs, or assignees will repay the unearned portion of the grant. There is no maximum income requirement, nor is the homeowner's income a determining factor for this program. So we're not wanting to look at anything in terms of income. We just want to make sure that you're living at home. The homeowner completes an application for financial assistance, which is reviewed and approved by the City of East Chicago Redevelopment. If you go to the next slide, you'll see that this is one of the homes that we are the owner of, the city is. We are intending to make this home, on the next page, if you look, to look like this model. This is what we're intending to do in terms of the models. And if you go to the next page, it just gives you an illustration of the models in different variations, so now you can view it in different angles. It's a beautiful model. We are going to be doing open porches, closed porches. It's up to the homeowner. And each view, you'll see a difference of how it looks. Now, what I was doing, and I had said this in the meeting, and I believe some of the council people were in that meeting, that I said that I was going to be looking at the list that was given to me in terms of all the signatures of all the people that were present. So I did an analysis. I went through the process and I looked, and I went through a couple of these, and I found one client that's really eligible for the program already. Because all I have to do is make sure that the person lives in that home, that their taxes are paid, everything looks good, there's no liens for the city. And I did that by going onto the GIS, the assessor site, the recorder site, and the tax recorder. So that way I can assure myself that this person is good to go. And because we're the owner of the other home, we're going to fix that person's home if they want to join and be part of this program. So it's all up to the individual in terms of them wanting to be part of this process. Now, I was surprised that a lot of the signatures in here were hard to read. So it's going to take me a little while to look at it and say, okay, well, who is at 408 or who is here, who is there, and how can I reach out to the homeowner and things of that nature. So that's basically my presentation. If anyone has any questions. Yes. I start with Casey since she wasn't there.
Let's start with Councilman Monroe.
Okay, Ms. Monroe.
How you doing, Frank?
I'm doing
If
fine.
I'm not mistaken, I was at the meeting with several others.
Uh-huh.
If that one person wants to fix their home and the person next door cannot afford it, I want to know if I'm correct. It cannot be done, am I correct?
As long as they're homeowners on both sides, it can be done.
But what if the homeowner on the other side don't want to fix their home?
Then I can't do it. It has to be both of them together.
Yeah, that's what I want people to know.
As a matter of fact, that's also what we did in Sunnyside. As a matter of fact, what we did was we did a footprint. We did 8 years of study on Sunnyside. At first, it was very interesting in terms of how it was maneuvering itself. And it became a beautiful footprint because people were starting to get interested in it. And two homeowners came together. Some of them didn't get together because whatever issues they may have.
Yeah, well, that's what I want people to know, that I can want one and Councilman Kush don't want to do it, so I lose out, am I correct?
Yes, sir, you do. I can't work on a half a house. It's not gonna be conducive, especially if you're gonna take off the roof and do various.
So I will get penalized.
It's not penalization, it's part of the process in terms of what we have identified as the program.
Councilman Massacre.
So my question is, are we governed by federal guidelines that prohibits, well, let me finish before you answer.
Yeah, no, because I don't know which direction we're going, but.
Okay, that prohibits us from allowing non-owner occupied units to be given those dollars?
No, I'm gonna tell you why.
I'm sorry, can you repeat? I could,
So are we governed by federal guidelines that says we cannot allow non-owner occupied units to be revitalized?
Let me give you an analysis of this, okay? It's a good question. No, I can't answer it in that fashion. I have to answer it with Sunnyside in view, if you would let me say so.
But with all due respect,
Sunnyside was part of an NRSA program, which is CDBG funds, which has a lot more criteria involved in it that specifically is driven to income calculations and everything in detail. We do not have that in the Marktown project. And there is no CDBG money for that at this time, for us to fix anyone's with CDBG money in Marktown. It has to be general funds.
Okay. So in layman terms, can you please answer that with a yes or no?
No,
No,
we do not have the funds for CDBG, which are federal funds, to do that. Not for this program.
but that wasn't the question. The question was, are we governed by federal guidelines that said this program cannot be used for non-owner occupied?
No, because this program that we designed here has no federal ties at all. No funding, none of that. So no. There's nothing that governs that.
So it's possible that something can potentially change that will allow that.
I figured that was gonna be a question at hand. There's 3 budgets here. Each budget is designed for CDBG. There's percentages that we have to extract by law. The first one is administration, 20%. The second one is housing rehabilitation program delivery, 65.9%, and that's all the rehabs that we do. Okay, and then 15% go to what's called public services. Okay, so by the time you look at it, if I got $1.37 million, all of that's already been asked for to HUD. So there is no additional money for them to utilize. This has all been budgeted out of it.
Hold on 1 second. Did you have an additional question?
I do, even though that, I mean, you did answer it, but, so how does the bidding process work and who picks the contractor?
That's gonna be us in combination with the homeowners. The homeowner will have the option of choosing based on the specifications and the cost of everything that they're going to be doing for us. We have the space and everything, that's what we want. And so the homeowner will have that option.
In the bidding process?
That'll be done by us as well.
Okay. And one last question. Do we have something in place that can encourage non-owner occupied units, owners to sell their units, like to try to contact them and say, you know, kind of encourage them to sell? But obviously that doesn't matter because we don't have the funds for those.
Right.
So when we initially created, we assumed, we knew that we didn't even.
Are there any other questions on this side? We're just gonna go down the line. So Councilwoman Lyons.
Can you tell me how many of these properties are owned by the city?
Yes, it's in the list right here, but like I said, this is part of the conversation that has to be done by Mr. Walt Hagelin, I believe. I'm trying to research these, which ones are ours. Let's see, my renters occupied. 36.7 privately owned, 46 publicly owned. I believe he has that statistic, and we're gonna probably have to wait for the next meeting, or I can get that to you after this, and I talk to Walt, and I can get you the raw numbers.
So when you say you, for now, you look down that list and you found a potential.
Yeah, I was just doing that to see whether or not what I said in the meeting would
Right,
work, and it
right.
does work.
So if later down the line, and we get more people or we don't, I mean, I guess I'm not sure about maybe how to ask this question, but the city owned properties,
Yeah.
what will happen with those? I mean, are they gonna be able to get fixed under this program too? What would you do with that?
Yeah, they could be fixed, but some of them, we do have owners that are part of a home, and we are owners of the home, but we can't fix every home that the city has because we have to send people in there and say, hey, this home, there's no way that you can continue to fix this one because it is not fixable. I mean, if you have to go through there, you see some areas that you just can't fix them all. It's too deteriorated in some of these homes, not all of them, some of them.
So you fix them and then what? You sell them?
We're gonna have to sell them. We
You
can't keep
sell
them.
them?
Yeah, we can't keep them.
So you make money, the
No,
city
we
will
don't make money, the
off that?
city makes money in
Yes.
terms of whatever accounts we place these dollars. in.
Right.
So then that way, we can continue to use that like a revolving loan fund.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
did you have something? Councilwoman Orange.
So I know the Sunnyside program. And I was in all agreement for them not to let landlords coming in and fixing up their properties. Because we got a lot of landlords out of town that wanted to apply for that program. Because landlords had contacted me and did not understand why they could not be part of that program. But I don't think that we should allow a landlord to come in from Chicago, fix up his property so he can sell it for a bunch of money or rent it to one of our residents for astronomical amounts. I'm not in favor for fixing up landlords. I know that it's hard when one side is the owner and then you got a renter on this side, and I understand that. And it should be some way that I understand about the roofing and everything, but that's the same thing. The sunny side is hard. And a lot of people have problems that wants to fix their own properties. And then the second one had problems with roofs in the middle. I understand that part. But I am not in favor for fixing up properties for landlords so they can sell. Or even if they had to keep them for 5 years, but they still haven't had to put anything out of their own pocket, fix up a property, and then be able to sell it back to somebody else, and they haven't had to put any skin in the game to fix it up.
And I made a comment to that, Art. But at the same time, you're absolutely right. With roofs, you gotta be very careful, because if you do anything, if the two roofs don't come together, you're liable for anything that gets damaged in those homes. And that's the reason why we're wanting to have two homeowners together, so that way we can build the whole structure all at once.
Councilman Garcia.
Yes, Mark, my fellow colleagues, there were excellent questions they asked and I didn't even think of, but you kept on mentioning CBG funds. We're not using CBG funds, so this might get people confused. So where is this money coming from?
Is it supposed, if you remember in the meetings that I had, I said, hopefully I will be able to come to all of you to ask for an appropriation
From general budget, correct?
from the general budget. Yes, sir.
So that means like Councilman Ransford said, so we're able to change anything that we need to change, reference guidelines and stuff like that. And I agree with Councilwoman Orange that we don't need these vandals coming in, but it's unfair for a owner that lives on the other side not to get their home fixed. And that's the dilemma we have in Marshtown, that we got quite a few homes like that. But most of Marshtown won't be able to be eligible for these programs. We got to come up with something that help out the residents of Marshtown. So if there's a building that's a home that's owned by the city and is real bad, so that owner next door can't get it fixed. That's what you're telling me right now. Correct? See, that's unfair.
Right.
And we control that, and we should be able to change those guidelines as we go forward.
Councilman Garcia, I can't say yes or no on your question. It's a good question. It's something that's beyond me. So it would have to be with our administration.
So the mayor then. All right, how long they have, the homes that you own in Marshall, how long have you owned?
That I can't tell you.
Can you get that information to me for each one that you guys own? Have you guys owned them more than 5 years?
I can't answer that because I really wasn't looking at all of that in terms of each home. I did it as part of an example. Now, that's easy to find. All you have to do is just get one of my staff members who goes to every one of the homes that we own and find out the date in which they were owned by us, because a lot of them were obtained by taxes that people weren't paying. Okay, people who currently still live there, who were owners, and let those properties go. And now we're coming behind them, fixing the properties that they should have fixed years ago, when they were homeowners or owned the property. This proof of that.
And Frank,
Yes.
you were saying that can't be able to fix, get the property up there, but how did you come up with this property? Just you had to think of, okay, if I fix every property in Burnstown, it's gonna cost me X amount of dollars. So how much money do you have to fix? Or is this gonna be year by year?
It could be year by year, but, I can't answer that in terms of dollars. It has to be so administrative statement in terms of what they're looking for.
My last thing, and President is, Mike, please go back to here. Let's tell about the residents in Marchtown. We need to change those criteria.
Councilwoman Good.
I have a question and several comments, especially when it's dealing with Sunnyside as a resident of Sunnyside. First of all, do you have a research on how many residents, owners in Marchtown versus those owners that live next to a duplex rental? Do you have those numbers?
No,
Okay.
no, the numbers are probably within this one particular second page, but as I was saying, the experts who did this for us will be here in the next meeting and they can answer those particular questions you're asking.
Okay, I know you said you were looking at the addresses that was placed on it. You couldn't tell the owner's names. When you look at the assessor, all you have to do is put the address in and the owner pops up.
That I know, that's what I did.
So, okay. If you say in the city owned property, they own duplex, one half of a duplex, or they, okay. So if they own a half of a duplex and you have an owner on the other side,
Work,
you work together, but you put the new owner in there.
no. All I do
Renting
is
that
fixing,
property,
I'm
the
just,
other half
I'm just
off, or will you
fixing
sell it?
the outside, and if we decide to fix the inside, we can do that too, and then this is our portion of it. I can't solve the homeowners.
Now, when you talk about Sunnyside, it wasn't that many homes in Sunnyside that was done. Due to the problem, and before this administration, this had come up before. And the residents gave the information. There was a lot of seniors that live out there. They were afraid to give it due to giving out their social, all their personal information. So they withheld on it. Now, as this project came back up, you could tell the homes that was done through the city program, but there was hail damage that came through when it started, when you all started this program. So a lot of the duplex in Sunnyside, the residents' homes were done through their insurance. And like Gilda's, Councilwoman Orange said, we have more renters out in Sunnyside than we've had. And for a person to live in a home on one side for 30 years, and you might have a renter that lived in that house for 20 years, because they're a senior that lived in there, it's unfair. Is it a way that, they could, well, that's a different program, trying to get them to be able to own the home. But for example, we had a resident that passed away that got some of the program, and the neighbor did also. The resident passed away, and therefore the family had to pay out the money. But it's not that many homes in Sunnyside that went with that program because of a renter on one side versus an owner on the other. I hate to see that program happen that way because it's unfair to those that have lived there for years. And if that house on the other side is vacant, and if the city doesn't own it, then is this program really gonna work? Because it didn't work that well to me in Sunnyside.
Well, I can answer a few of those things. Since I run the department, CDBG dictates us to do income calculations, read information like that, which can be very difficult because I have to get 3 months worth of data. This doesn't have any of that criteria. And those homes that we're talking about, I have a list of how many homes we did.
Well, you could tell the difference of the homes that was done to the city and those that did the hail damage.
Right, and CDBG will not allow me to go to that renter and fix the house again. That's why we decided not to do CDBG versus no CDBG over here.
Do you think that ever be a program for, I mean, I know because the duplex, you want them to look identically alike, but it does, you have some homes, it's 2 different colors, that's looking outrageous, but if it's just the outside to make it look uniform, I hope that's a program that you offer.
I think Robert, Councilman Robert, has had an interesting point. you have to take this to administration. I can't answer that.
Just bring in their suggestions.
Councilman Hill, do you have anything? Councilman Franciski?
Did you have a total number of how many that you were targeting for Marktown?
Yeah, the number's here, but as I was saying, it's basically more, the next person coming to this meeting.
You don't have a round of whether it was 20 or 30 or 10?
Now, right here, there's 256 parcels of land and 210 are privately owned, but that doesn't give you enough feedback because these gentlemen were answering all of that and presenting that in the presentation. That's why they're gonna come for the next meeting.
So in the next presentation, they'll have.
They'll have all of it.
this and everything else.
Yes, sir. All the breakouts, who are homeowners, who are renters, it's all color coded. And that's how we did it. So in that way, it'll identify everything in each other as to those numbers you see.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Councilman Ransford.
Is it possible, because I know we've had similar programs throughout the city, besides where it allow businesses and different things of that nature to take advantage. Is it possible that we could create something to say, okay, a landlord or non-owner occupied, they won't get the full 40, but we'll match up to X amount of percent. That way we could try to get those landlords involved in this program so it could overall make the entire Markstown look better. Is that possible?
That's an interesting point. Anything's possible, but it starts with the mayor and all of you coming together if that's the case. And man, anything's possible.
Councilwoman Orange.
Yeah, I was gonna add two, because they did do the facade on Main Street and the different other businesses where they gave a percentage as long as they do that.
Right.
And then you could put more stipulations on the landlord than you do the actual homeowner.
Absolutely.
So, that's something that, we could try to, go and talk to them about, because that would be better. And then that way to keep the landlords just from this out, soon to pick it up, selling it, you know.
Right. And to reference that, you make a good point. There was an 80-20% facade. That's all up Main and Broadway. But then if you go further down Main and over here, it's a 50-50. So that's interesting.
50-50 or even
Yeah.
60-40.
Yeah, so something, and then again, I'll hold them to the same guidelines. If you sell within 5 years, you gotta pay back.
Interesting point.
Councilman Garcia.
Yeah, Frank, if you could take this back, I appreciate it. Let's not rush this project. Let's get this done. Let's get it done right for the residents of Markstown, okay? You just heard some excellent ideas on this side, 60-40, 50-50. You know what, if this council wants to write a letter to the mayor, their full support, saying this is what we like to have for residents of Markstown. I would like you guys to join me to write this letter and sign it, but don't rush this just because an election is coming up. I know that ain't got nothing to do with you, but let's get this done right first time.
I have a couple of
Yes.
questions. So how long, when does this program come into effect?
It comes into effect as soon as we get the allocation.
And when is the process of starting to, the construction process?
That would take a bit because I have to make sure that the people that we're working with are homeowners on both sides, so we can adjust it whatever direction you go. That's gonna take some time, and then you gotta bid it out. The bids, you don't do it overnight. It takes two rounds in terms of the publication of notices.
Okay, give me a timeline. Like it's gonna take.
It can take,
You know what I mean? Give me,
2 months, 3 months, it can take 4, it depends on the owner. The owner could say that, for instance, it's got kind of spent. I'm the owner, I own this house. Okay, well, when you look here, you didn't pay your taxes, you didn't pay your lien, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. You don't have any credibility until you give me some materials to show that credibility. So there's so many different avenues to this, I can't really even pinpoint.
okay. The other thing, is it says here on the, I think it's the third page, there's 67 owned occupied. So that number is not that high.
Nope.
What I would like to see is we know that, then we know the owners, why, and you might have done this already, send a letter out specifically, if you do have a lien, if you do, we'll work with you So, or some kind of counseling so that they can become eligible if they're not eligible already. I think that's something that would benefit, of course, the 67 owner occupied residents. So that's just like ideas, just throwing out there. I'm worried about the biggest thing I'm worried about is a timeline on how long it's gonna take. That's my biggest thing. But again, you have the suggestions from my colleagues, and I just think Marktown has been neglected for a while. And it's a historical district, and it would be really nice if we could do the pictures, if we could make those pictures and, you know, to make all the houses look like that. So I'm glad that everybody's participating in this, and we will work with the administration to make this right.
Right, and if you don't mind, Madam President, there are 256 parcels. All this shows you the relationship that you were saying. I have every single name, every single address that these gentlemen went through. And so we know who's who and what's going on. So eventually, as you are working with us, we'll see what we can do with it.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. On the agenda, please, clerk the meeting.
Steve Selby, Director, Project Management Department.
Good evening, Council. Keith Selby, Director of Project Management. I just wanted to piggyback with Frank. He was doing a presentation out in the Marktown area to take this time to give an update on all 5 district projects that are current as well as will be upcoming. The first to speak about is the Marktown Roundabout. It was a $1.8 million project that we were able to substantially complete back in November. However, there are a couple of punch list items that we're still unable to finish. We plan to do is student web breaks. I want to list a couple of those. The first thing we need to do is curb painting and pavement striping, as well as we need to install the sign inside the center of the actual roundabout, as well as the surrounding area. Another punch list item that we're working on is with NIPSCO. As you guys go through there are 4 utility poles sitting in the center of the roundabout. So we're currently working with them to do a relocation of those poles. And then once that happens, we'll do our final step, and that will be to install the structure, or the sculpture that is the same as the one over at the office roundabout as well. The next project I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about, and we're kind of excited about, is we're still trying to do the theme of improving that corridor. So the next project is what we've entitled the 129th and Dickey Streetscape project. This particular project is a $3.5 million project that will encompass the limits of Dickey Road at 129th all the way down to Michigan Avenue. Scope of work on this particular project is going to be replacing all the asphalt going down that entire stretch. We're going to be doing some concrete and curb patching. We're going to also install some new light fixtures and light poles. Of course, our curb painting and pavement markings. And we're looking to get that particular project started probably within 60 days. And we're hoping to have it completed by November 1st. That is a good opportunity to kind of, I guess, increase the visibility as well as the bringing it up to speed in terms of that corridor. I think the roundabout turned out very well. I know when I was at the meeting with Frank a couple of weeks ago, unfortunately, the roundabout does not control traffic. The traffic is the traffic. So coming out of the BP or coming out of the mills, the traffic is the traffic. What we were hoping to do with the roundabout was to have a continuous flow. And those that are engineers that know better than I had recommended that that was the best solution for that particular intersection that I believe had 7 conflict points. So in closing, I would like to say, first of all, I want to thank the residents of the city of East Chicago for their patience during this construction season. We have quite a few projects going, and I do realize that it is an inconvenience during construction. However, it is terribly needed to get these improvements. And I guess the questions.
Councilman Garcia.
Yes, so you anticipate starting this spring when the weather breaks?
Yes, for the streetscape project, yeah.
Pinky Road is bad, it needs like, it's very, very. Scared by it, that kind of thing, but very, very dark, can't even see trains.
Yeah, we have all of that in this new package, this $3.5 million package to do, just to basically increase the light, increase the actual pavement, as well as make it.
I'm out on campus.
I don't control the cameras. That'll be something that you would need to talk to the police department about. All I can say is that, you know, we will definitely increase the amount of lights and light poles that we want to do that particular quarter.
When does Midco plan to start their municipal station, their metro station there in near Marshall?
They're currently working on it now. We have not seen their final plans. It's still in design. If I'm not mistaken, I think they're 60 to 80% complete. I'm sure they're going to share that with us once they've completed it. You know, our project with the relocation of those poles in the center of the actual roundabout is a separate project from the actual substation upgrade or revamping of Midco.
If there's going to be any delays in traffic, they can let the residents from Marshall know.
Absolutely. I do encourage everyone, including the folks that are listening to this, to subscribe to our Nixle. I do a great deal of notifications through this book, Midco, to provide updates on any project and every project that I'm working on.
Does anybody else have any questions? Councilman Fuentes.
I just want to comment on Nixon. Nixon is great, but when you have seniors, they have barely know how to work the cell phone. So they don't get those notifications. Do you have, are you going to mail them out to those residents?
Yes, to answer that question. So we did hear what you said the last time, and we have been doing that for all of our projects. As a matter of fact, I believe about 2 weeks ago, prior to the closing of the 4600 block of Lagoon, there was a personal letter sent out by the mayor, kind of giving an update, basically thanking their patience during this process, but as well as our contractors, you know, we call door knockers. So it's just a piece of paper giving them an update. They knock on the door, leave it in the door. So we do as much as possible to basically keep everybody updated. You know, a lot of times, you know, their rental properties, some of the information goes to the homeowner versus the renter. So that's why we do the door.
Any other questions, Councilman Orange?
Yeah, I just want to say something with Frank and make sure that he gets this information. Because what we had in Sunnyside is people that had the work done and the work was beautiful. But then all of a sudden, they got a different tax bill because they were assessed differently because of the work that was done. And that's what I just want to remind, I'm not trying to scare anybody in Marshall, but your taxes will not be the same because of your property value. They can only do 1% over their assessed value, but what I have seen with the assessor's office have started doing, because the 1%, they have started assessing people's houses very high. If I live on a block where basically the houses were like $30,000 to $40,000, that's what they were going for. But people start selling them high, and they had work done on them, and now they have assessed people's houses like $90,000, which they can't sell them for $90,000. But I'm just letting them know, because a lot of people call me from Sunnyside and they say, well, I didn't know my taxes was going to go up. But anytime you have improvements on your property, your taxes. So I just want for people to be aware that they don't be shocked.
Does anybody else have any questions? I just have one. The project that is gonna be completed, you have all the money for that already,
You're referring to the streetscape or the roundabout?
the roundabout.
The roundabout basically was an allocation that this council approved in additional appropriations at the end of 2021. That encompassed all the money that we needed to complete it.
So for the 129th and Dickey, that's a new project that you're gonna come back to.
That is correct. And
Okay.
that project will start in approximately about 60 days or so. And fortunate enough that you council members allocated that in the budget for the engineering department.
Any other questions? Thank you. Okay, now we are at committee reports. Councilman,
Yeah, I asked, our attorney to ask that you were in financials and thank you. And don't, give me that information. After going through it, we have 115 million cash on hand. And we have 34 million for our budget. And if you guys remember last year, when we was going through giving the rates for, public safety. One thing we got was the gloom and doom from, Bennett and Attorney Allen Graves. City has money. The city has money. So that doom and gloom, it was just a, as they say, smoke mirrors. But we had 115 million in cash on hand and 34 million for the budget.
thank you, Councilman Garcia. And other committee reports? Any board reports? Ordinance on first reading.
Ordinance 23-004. Sponsored Councilwoman Monica Gonzalez, an ordinance clarifying and amending ordinance number 22-0047.
So move on first reading, Madam President.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilman Monroe. Councilman Garcia.
There's somebody here to talk about it.
Yes, clerk, looking at this.
Hearing council members, council president. Question?
Can you explain the ordinance?
Yes, back in 22, September the 28th, we scheduled a meeting to pass the salary order for civil employees. That meeting was canceled. Part of that ordinance, I had requested some changes be made to the clerk's office. It wasn't done. I was gonna have it amended in that meeting, the committee was canceled. During the 2 weeks that we rescheduled the meeting, or we waited for the next meeting, the author of the ordinance went ahead and made those changes for me. You folks voted on first and second and approved it. 2 weeks later, you voted on the third reading and approved it. Inadvertently, my office sent to the mayor the original ordinance because it wasn't titled amended, because you folks didn't amend it, the author did. Anyhow, there was a mix-up. The wrong ordinance has been signed and it's on record. I'm not comfortable with that, so I spoke with Mr. Allegretti. He said we could change it to clarify that, in fact, the changes for my office are in it, and you folks did vote in favor of it.
Are there any questions? Councilman Lynch.
Attorney Jones, that actually happened, because I've seen the moment here, that actually happened.
Yeah, whoever made the changes, I guess, didn't really make the changes correctly. I don't know who wrote it in the first place.
This was written by Attorney Allegretti, sponsored by the mayor.
And your signatures are attached to that,
The
to the ordinance.
initial ordinance.
So you can see it on the attachment that we signed this, meaning you.
That was the first ordinance that was California could send to us. 2 weeks later, Attorney Allegretti went ahead and made the changes. that I had requested some months prior. And you folks voted on it, and it was approved. Our
I believe you.
office-
I just want to make sure that, you know, the signature. So I'll have to wait for, on this.
No, yeah, you don't have to. look at it.
Okay, are there any other questions? Thank you. Dina.
Thank you.
Okay, we can do a roll call.
Francisco,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes,
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
yes.
Bolaños,
Yes.
Ransford,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Madam President.
Councilwoman Orange.
Oh, this one is suspend the rules. I thought that's what my function. Suspend the rules and hear them second. Third.
Second.
Well, suspend the rules first. Suspend the rules.
Councilwoman Orange, motion to suspend the rules. Seconded by Councilman Hill. Roll call, please.
Francisco,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange, Bolaños,
Yes.
Ransford,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes. Councilwoman Orange.
I'd like to hear them second.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Orange to hear it on second and third reading. Seconded by Councilman Garcia. Roll call, please.
Francisco,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Bolaños,
Yes.
Ransford,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
I thank you.
Ordinances on second reading.
Ordinance number 23-0001, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland. Additional appropriations ordinance appropriating certain monies for infrastructure replacement / improvement work.
Move on second and third reading, Madam President.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Garcia. Can someone raise a hand who seconded? Councilman Monroe. Any questions on the matter? Roll call, please.
Francisco,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Winfield,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Bolaños,
Yes.
Ransford,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes. Ordinances on third reading,
We have no ordinances on third.
resolutions,
Resolution 23-0002, sponsored Councilwoman Deborah Bolaños. A resolution of the Common Council of the City of Chicago concerning a petition for use variance to maintain the use variance of a vacant structure and a property commonly known as 4814 Alcott Avenue.
this, the Councilwoman Blinds, do you have a comment or?
I know Mr. Markovich is here.
Okay, Mr. Markovich, would you like to? Oh, Mr. Markovich, would you like to come forward, please? Yeah.
We need to hear her before we-
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry.
You need to make a motion before we.
Okay,
Bring it to the table.
thank you. Mhm. You will make a motion to pass the resolution.
Okay, I make a motion to pass this resolution.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Councilwoman Bolaños, seconded by Councilwoman Garcia.
Let's speak first.
No.
Okay. Go ahead. But I'm sorry, Mr. Markovich.
No problem. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you this evening. The property in question here is 4814 Alcott Avenue. And it's a commercial building. It's been a commercial building since it's been built many, many years ago. It's been vacant maybe 20 or 20 years. It's a very, very good structure, and our plan is to renovate it from front to back. A new brick facade, new doors, new roof, lighting, exterior lighting on the front and rear, security cameras, all new electrical, all new HVAC, make a real nice place there. So the question that would come up is, well, what are you gonna do with it? Well, we don't know yet, but whatever it is, it'll be a plus for the neighborhood. It'll be either a good tenant or all occupied. And of course, we will be good and respectful to the entire neighborhood. Any questions?
Councilman Hill.
So I think that's a good idea. However, told people talk to me, one thing they were worried about is you parking trucks out front. So I'm quite sure we'll try to handle that situation.
Councilwoman Bolanos opened the channels of communication with the neighborhood there, and we had a meeting. And there will be no external parking. The parking will be internal in the building, or there is a backyard. And that backyard is going to be fenced in and also lit and security cameras.
Councilman Garcia.
Yeah, that was my same question, 'cause I got family that live on that block. You got a lot of apartment buildings, so parking is real tight. You got the bar on the corner. Then you got the church on the corner also, so I know parking is very, very tight, so please no parking out in the street.
Yes, I concur, and the whole plan is to have either a tenant. If it's a tenant occupied, it'll be someone that will be within the building. And no traffic in and out, like a storage facility. Storage facility. There's a couple things, but it won't be anything that's gonna take them to the beautiful block of 4800 block. Okay.
Councilwoman Barnes.
Yes, I just wanted to thank you for taking the time out that day and getting together for that meeting. I know it was outside of the building. One of the things one of the very important things that the neighbors were worried about is what type of tenants. We discussed that. And this is why I thought it was important to get together with you to explain to you what they've been through. And they've been through a lot. And so I thank you for bringing this type of business or buying this, the renovation that you're doing, especially the cameras and the lighting and staying away from the parking in the front and putting this in this neighborhood that's so much, they need it so much. And I know that you're going to be a good neighbor. And I want to thank you for doing that.
Thank you. And again, I want to thank you for opening up the channels of communication with me.
Councilman Garcia.
Did you purchase it off the tax rolling or was that free development or city?
That property, I believe, was purchased at a tax sale. Yes.
Any other questions? Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Ms. Markovich.
Thank you again and have a great evening.
Okay, roll call for the resolution. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Roll call, please.
Franciscan.
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Winfield.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange.
Yes.
Malano.
Yes.
Ransford.
Yes.
Monroe. Yes. Gonzalez.
Yes. Hey, is there any old business? Councilwoman Orange.
Okay, so I want to clarify, the Zoom, if when, we're not here. How are we, doing this? I wasn't able to be here last, meeting. I did message, Councilman Garcia, who runs this, so, and also the council president. I never heard back from anybody. And I never got a message back, emails, nothing. How I can get on Zoom to be on there. So I want to know what is the proper way to be on Zoom, how do you get on it, when you have to notify yourself, Councilman Garcia, and the council president how you gonna get on the Zoom?
If I'm not mistaken, there was an email sent to you. There wasn't, and there was an email sent to you because once I saw it, I did respond because I like, okay, she has the email, but Councilman Garcia.
Yes, email is sent.
Although I have had trouble with my email, with the city email. I'll look again, because I looked all over there and I saw it right before the city to see what was going on first. Okay, so, once they call you, and you'll be able to put us on the Zoom?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think for every Zoom call it's specific for that day. It's not the same. If I'm correct, it's different every time for security reasons. So it's not generated automatically. They have to generate it. So
I just want to know what the process is, so if anybody else has to be on the Zoom call, they know.
does anybody else have old business? New business, I'm going to recognize Councilman Franciski.
At this time, we have, bring up Terry Belligan with Pine Avenue Bridge and showed, presentation.
Good evening, Madam President, respected council members. Thank you very much for allowing myself and my coworker from the Pine Avenue Bridge to present a program for the city residents and also for the employees of the East Chicago businesses. I'm Terry Belligan, the general manager of Pine Avenue Bridge, and what we're doing is we're presenting a discount program for the residents and the employees of the businesses in East Chicago that we will provide a discount as long as the residents enroll their transponders. And I'll have my coworker talk about the program while I hand out the flyer to each individual member.
Hi, good evening, council members. Thank you for just giving us the time to come and just tell you a little bit more about the program. It's a very simple program. As Terry said, it is a program for all of the residents of East Chicago, staff, employees, family as well. We've already partnered with your administration, and it is on the website with a live link where you can enroll, where residents can enroll. It's a very simple process. There is no risk to you. There's no risk to the resident. You enroll via the QR code that is on that flyer, or if you go online, it's again a live portal. You provide your name and address and your transponder information. So that's one of the key points of the program is that you have to have a transponder in your vehicle so that you are able to be registered at a discounted toll rate. And that is how we would track it. So if your vehicle crosses the toll bridge with that transponder on there, we know that that transponder registered for the program and it will receive, and it will be charged $1 toll. I don't know if Terry mentioned that right now, but that is what is the huge bonus or the huge benefit of the toll bridge, because of course, you know, the elephant in the room is that it is costly. So we're looking to find a way around that so that residents and friends and family and staff can use the bridge at a lower toll rate, at a lower discount of $1. So you enroll residents, again, anyone that enrolls. You enroll today, it comes through our system, you cross the bridge tomorrow and your toll rate is $1. It's as simple as that. There's no risk to you. There is no penalty for not crossing the bridge. Right now, it is, if I'm not mistaken, under our 1-year process, just internally. We want to make sure that it is a successful program in the city. But again, there's no penalty. There's no risk to you to whether you take the bridge or you don't take the bridge. It's there as an option to use so that when you do take it, you're not paying the $275 or the pay by plate, the $450 if it's a pay by plate. Basically.
Councilman Garcia.
Yes, can you extend this to the school city of Chicago? Because I know as former director of transportation, they have a lot of buses that goes to trips to Chicago, or Illinois and stuff like that, but it would be a great thing for them to benefit from this also.
Well, thank you. That's a great question, Councilman Garcia. We do have a program we would call the buses actually commercial because it's a large scale vehicle. We do have discount programs for that. All they have to do is call our number 219-276-8901. And then they would talk to Nancy and myself and we put a program together for those buses. But currently this program itself is for passenger vehicles, which are 2-axle, even though the bus is 2-axle, but it's a large vehicle.
How about for employees for school?
Yes, for the employees. So say for instance, an employee works at School City or works at any business. As long as the business and School City obviously is in East Chicago, the employee would register their vehicle, their personal vehicle with their transponder, put down the address that corresponds to that transponder in that vehicle. And then there's actually a drop down that'll say East Chicago. They'll click that East Chicago group. As long as that business and obviously School City, but they'll be eligible for this program as well. One of the things I want to make 2 comments. So the discount rate is, they discounted $1.75. So their toll would be $1. So I want to make that clear. Yes.
Any other questions? Councilwoman Orange.
But since it's been up and running, the toll, how many people actually use it?
So currently,
No, I was just saying, I don't.
so this is going to be good for you. So that's a great question. So currently, we look at the trends of traffic. We're currently in what we call a seasonal trend, meaning winter or holidays. We average about 3,000 vehicles. And that's a combination of about 10% trucks. So it's about 3,000 vehicles. And as the summer goes on, that number rises to 3,500, 4,000, maybe even 4,200.
What was your colleague's name?
The what?
What was your colleague's name?
I'm sorry, Nancy Machuga. Pleasure.
Yes,
Councilman Garcia.
Yes, you said it'd be $1 for a car to go.
correct.
How long would this one last?
As Nancy said, we look at projecting it to last in 1 year.
Not longer than that.
Well, after 1 year, and that's a great question, after 1 year, we'll evaluate it, right? And then if we feel like we could extend it, then we'll extend it. Not then. We have to have, in order for any program, we can't just let it go on in perpetuity, but we will evaluate it after a year.
And the reason I say that, because I know administration has made a deal with them that we only get 30 cents per car for a lifetime of that bridge. And at that time, that's not much. You know, once time it goes on. I like that program that we keep on going more than 1 year.
Well, here, and I agree with you. So the current agreement that was signed way back when is 10 cents out of every toll collected goes back to the city of East Chicago. So if you think about it, is if we have, say, not only 3,000 vehicles, and you look at that toll rate, as that number goes up, we call it average daily traffic. If that number goes up to 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, then obviously that revenue share would increase as well. So it's a partnership essentially, but it's not a one-on-one partnership. But as we increase traffic, the city benefits more and more.
And I just say that, and this, my next comment is not on you. I know that the deal that they made was not a good deal because it shouldn't have been for the lifetime of that bridge. As your tolls go up, ours should have went up too, from 10 to 20 cents and so forth. So I know that's not on you, but that's one thing that I know that was bad in that deal, that the lifetime is 10 cents per car. It should have been a percentage. As your toll rates go up, our rate goes up too.
Should.
Councilwoman Orange.
And that was, I don't think you were here on that council at that time. But it's, the ones that were here, recollect, there was almost no deal at all on Pine Avenue because the state had taken over. It wasn't like the city had went in and negotiated, it was the state. they say if you take a deal with this company or the bridge stays down. And so they had us by the barrel, but we did the best we could about it. And, the fact of it is that, like I said, Pine Avenue, but in that, business, we had that one accident where that lady fell off the bridge. It wasn't anymore talking about whether you could have a bridge up or not have a bridge up. They didn't want to give us anything, Councilman Francisco said, we did battle for more money. But at the end of the day, the state had given them the go ahead to do everything, and we wind up doing the, so it wasn't like that.
Yeah, who still hit, hurt over that deal. Some money better than no money, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the state was saying, if you don't take, and we were gonna eat out the 10 cents, and they didn't wanna give us nothing. The state came in, they had to stay here, and the state said, if you don't take it, you're not gonna build Pine Avenue back. And like I said, after people fell off the Pine Avenue Bridge, it wasn't the whole thing about, trying to keep it from doing it.
Okay,
I think it's better than it was.
May I have one last comment?
yes,
So I think earlier, Mr. Sylvie talked about the reviewing of Dickey Road. I think this program aligns really well with the construction that will have to be diverted off of Dickey Road. And if more people sign up for this program, then I think it'll help out the congestion in that area as well.
okay,
Just please let the residents know, whoever signs up, that this program is only for 1 year, then after that 1 year, that bigger bill.
And we do. So when anybody registers, we provide that information.
okay. Are there any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you all.
Okay, new business, still, Councilman Garcia.
Yeah, I got road of Armstown. States.
They put on the, wanna make sure so that somebody else don't go off. Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, I want to thank all of you up from the bottom of my heart for the questions, the respect that Marktown residents are getting. It's overwhelming and very much appreciated. Nancy is also a resident from Marktown, and her and I have been talking about a lot of this and talking with the neighbors, and we come to you in hopes with some other residents. We didn't want to crowd the council room, but we will if necessary. We're asking that when the redevelopment department brings you this gentleman, this contractor, and talks more about the redevelopment of Marktown, we ask that you guys table it until it is amended, because all the stipulations that were put in there that he told all of us residents that day of the meeting, several of you guys were there. It basically let us know that probably 3 or 4 houses out there are going to be approved and the rest are not. Now, we have elderly that went to this meeting that have hard times walking, and they went there. There was no translator, which was promised. So we sat there and we translated. The fact that they told us that they're spending $255,000 on an art project inside the roundabout, and they're telling us that there's not enough money to help these houses that have abandoned houses connected to them, that some of them the city owned and some of them we have slumlords. Why don't they invest that money in this project instead of in that art project that they're going to put there that nobody's going to pay attention to? It's the outskirts. I think that that's wasted money. If you really want to help Marktown, go in there with an open mind and help us fix it. But he told us so many different things that he presented you guys with today that many of the residents got up and walked out, because everything that we asked, it was a no. You gentlemen were there, you were there. Debbie, you were there. There was several people there, and Rich, you were there. And so every question we asked him, my questions were for the elderly. My questions were for, the residents that can't afford it. He sits here and he says, oh, well, they have their house on a lien or on back taxes, so they don't qualify. Did you ever stop and think that maybe they're in back taxes because they can't afford the taxes? And he also told us that if a resident dies, for example, if I pass away and we are approved of this grant, And if I pass away within the 5 years after it's done, they put a lien on it. My spouse doesn't get the house. So, I mean, it's all these stipulations that were added that I think that they need to be amended, corrected, fixed, edited, however they want to title it. So I'm asking you guys, before you vote, please reach out to the residents, get feedback from us, and let us tell you what is being told to us before you guys vote yes or no. I appreciate that. Nancy? You want to add anything?
Sorry, I should have wore different hats, but, I'm not used to this. I'm not used to presenting. I'm not used to rebuttaling or anything like that. Some of you do know me personally, and I do not like the politics. I do not like getting involved in that sense, but this hits really close to home because my father is a homeowner in Martin, has lived there for 45 years. And believe me, I have tried to get him to leave, and he does not want to. There's a love, there is a passion. There is really, I grew up there. I ran those streets as a little girl. So there really, truly is some heartfelt, I think, decisions that as residents now, which was, by the grace of God that I ended up there again, I should be in Texas by now. But being there and seeing what is happening, seeing how neglected it is, as you have yourselves mentioned, I just want to reiterate what Lourdes is saying is that, you really look at that grant, look at those stipulations and make the decision for the betterment of the residents of East Chicago and everything else people have said. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any other new business? Public.
Can somebody send a letter to I am. Yeah, I'm kind of about to say some people are wearing them, some people are not. Half the city don't wear them or whatever. So if we come out of the mask, conversation. That's that order. So I would like a letter sent to her, for find out, can we release these things?
Okay. Yeah, I'll do it.
I just have a quick comment. I know in my district, we've spotted a bunch of stray dogs running around, and we call animal control. There's been a lot of dumping in East Chicago as far as animals and dumping everywhere. The health department, which controls animal control, needs help. They're looking for people to work there. So if you know anybody, please look at the application and apply because we do need help. Any other new business? Okay, public expression. I have Joel, but I think he left. And Kimberly Rodriguez.
Have to give the name and address.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Kimberly Rodriguez, 422 Park Street in Chicago, Indiana. He basically kind of said what I would say as far as the Marktown meeting. Except there's, he brought up all the do's and don'ts. But I've been there for 64 years. And I can see where some of their do's are don'ts, but our don'ts are do's. Okay, so it all matters on what the city wants. Okay, I've seen them tear one home out of a quad down that supposedly isn't supposed to happen. I've seen houses remodel and only do half their roof. Okay, I've lived there forever. I've watched it. So there are a lot of things that are possible. And again, the amendments are very much needed. Like the color of the home, maybe one half that does qualify. So now the other half, they want it, they don't want the same color. Maybe in the amendments, it can say you need to, if you want this, since you are the second party, you have to match the home. There could be amendments like that. But no matter what, I want our center open. I don't care if only 2 kids go there. I want it available. And I told the council before that we have volunteers that will sit in there. You don't have to pay anyone. We want our center open. Our children have nowhere to go. They can't walk to all these new modern facilities. You know, parents are working, they're not gonna let their little ones take a bus. Okay, we are stuck there and I would like our center open. So thank you for listening.
For the public expression, do I have a motion for adjournment?
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Garcia, second by Councilman Monroe. Roll call, please.
Francisco.
Yeah.
Hill.
Yes.
Whitfield.
Yes.
Garcia. Orange.
Yeah.
Malano. Massacre.
Yes.
Monroe. Yes. Gonzalez.
Yes. Meeting adjourned.
Sir.
Danny, what's going on?
And that's fine. You know what I mean? One of the many things that he was saying, like, you know. If you die.